For those of you who have the Scav case unlocked, the question always arises, which one do we use best? Because there are 5 options and each one of them has advantages and disadvantages. And you can use the Scav case for way more than just generating money. Especially if you have missions that require rare items found in raids. And that's what we will be looking at today. But one small thing first, I won't name specific ruble prices or gains here. So you won't see anything like a folder of intelligence earns you 60,000 rubles on average per hour, because that's just not possible. Simply because the value of all items in the game change every week basically, depending on the demand in the wipe. Let's say you are in early wipe, then a graphics card is worth 1/10 of what it is worth at the end. A Moonshine is much cheaper early wipe, spikes mid wipe and then gradually declines again. And that means if I would name specific ruble gains, they would only fit this specific week in which I collected the data and would not be true at all for you if you did that in another week. And that's why I'm gonna use instead relative gains. Alright, with that out of the way, we start with the small one. That's the 1000 rubles options. Earlier it was 500 in the last wipe, now it's 1000, and it's basically what you expect if you pay only 1000 rubles. It usually earns you only a small profit. But it's also the only option that has never lost me any money. The best I ever got out of it with 1000 rubles was a profit of 50 somewhat thousand rubles. And 50,000 in like 30 minutes, that's pretty good. Now with that method you get 1 to 3 items. And if we were to categorize the rarity of items, it would be 3 common items. It always generates a profit. I mean, for 1000 rubles it's hard to not generate a profit. And it's also the shortest option with 25 minutes if you have maxed out karma. I still wouldn't recommend it though, because there are better options. So let's take a look at the 7000 ruble variant. The biggest difference right away, it takes a lot longer to complete. 2.5 times as long to be precise. But therefore you get 2 to 4 items and it can yield rare items. So that means keys, valuables, hideout materials and so on. And just like with the 1000 rubles option, it's almost guaranteed to make a profit. Now per run you earn a lot more with this option, but it takes again 2.5 times as long, so that reduces the profit a little bit again, but therefore you don't have to actively manage it. But then let's get to the most random option of them all. The 85,000 option is just all over the place. I got so much trash with this option, but also so much good loot. So the range of possible yields is just pretty much everything. And you get 2 to 5 items, but again, it can contain everything. It can be absolute trash. It could also be a red rebel. And that's why I don't like it. Now that might surprise you, but hear me out. In order to really make a profit with this variant, you need to run it a lot, like 100 times. And then you eventually will make a profit, but compared to the other methods, a pretty small one. Unless you get really lucky and find something like a red rebel or a key card. But that is solely based on luck, and if you don't get it, you won't make a profit at all maybe. And that's why I don't like it, it's so random. So if you want to make money, I would recommend the 7000 rubles variant over that. And if you want to find rare items, there's the Moonshine option. Now the Moonshine is the first option for which you need an item for instead of rubles. Now the Moonshine has one thing in common with the 85,000 option, and that is the high variety of items that you can get. But with the Moonshine, the base value is much higher. So you won't get as much trash as with the 85,000 option. You get at least decent stuff. But therefore the upper end is amazing. We're talking about graphics cards, key cards for labs, red rebels, tank battery, streamer items and so on. Even weapons and armor like a slick vest is pretty common. This also means you can generate a lot of money, especially if you craft the moonshine yourself using water and sugar. And I mean, a lot of money is great and all, but moonshine can also be used to complete missions. For example, you have a pretty high chance of getting a tank battery for the proper mission. But also, let's say you want to do the collector mission for the Kappa container, then moonshine gets you a lot of those rare streamer items that you need found in raid for the mission. And that's why I've been running moonshine all wipe long, more or less, because I need that damn wallet. But a very common question is, of course, is the folder with intelligence any better or worse than moonshine? First of all, it has a higher item cap. It can get you up to 7 items per run, but it has 1 slot less for super rare items. So that sounds pretty complex, but basically what it means is you get less super rare items, but therefore more just rare items. So what does this mean? Now the folder still gets you a lot of good items. Again, key cards, graphic cards, keys and streamer items, but weapons and gear in general is more common with the folder. So if you need a specific weapon found in raid for certain missions, and there are, for example, for one mission you need to find an M4 found in raid. If you have those, or you need gear in general found in raid while still looking for things like graphic cards and streamer items, then the folder of intelligence is a better choice than the moonshine. And it can also make a lot of profit, especially if you find the folder in raid. Now I don't know what happened mid-wipe, because they suddenly disappeared on reserve. There's not a single folder anymore on reserve. I haven't found any, and I think that's a bug. Should they fix that for 12.12, then you have a good source of folders again. And if not, we probably have to call Nikita and ask him what's going on there. But once folders reappear on reserve and you run reserve a lot, you will have an easy time converting that into money. Then the folder also takes the most amount of time, about 5 hours. So it's probably best to use it before you go to bed, or if you don't play the other day and so on. But to conclude the whole folder versus moonshine, the folder is only advantageous if you find them a lot in raid, or if you specifically are looking for gear items. Otherwise, the moonshine is more profitable and also gets you better items. So, as a summary, if you're just trying to make money, then I would recommend the moonshine, but if you can't craft the moonshine or you have no way to get it for a reasonable amount of money, then I would recommend the 7,000 ruble variant to make a profit. Then if you're looking for certain streamer items for missions, then of course the moonshine. And if on top of that, or alternatively, you are looking for more gear related items, then I recommend folder, especially if you play reserve a lot and find them there. So I hope this video was helpful. If so, please like, share, subscribe and so on. It took a ton of time to make. I had to run every single option around 50 or more times, and that took a long time. Then if you want to support the channel, consider becoming a member. Thank you very much, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye.